Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. In this video we'll have a better look at querying in SQL, and that is with the use of a select statement. In SQL we have two kinds of commands broadly, the DDL commands and the DML commands. DDL stands for data definition language, and examples of these are create, alter, drop, and others. And then we have DML commands. DML stands for data manipulation language. And some of these are the select, insert, update, delete. So these are your DDL and DML commands. Now we'll jump start you into this because it will, otherwise the learning curve will be very steep. So we will be wise in learning and zoom in on the more frequently used commands first. So between the two, between the DDL and the DML, the more frequently used is our DML commands, data manipulation language. And from this category of commands, by far the most frequently used is the select statement. So here you have the format in IT language is called, or in IT parlance is called syntax. The format is something like this: select column name or column names from table name or table names, where column name equals some value, order by column name or column names. And depending on the flavor of your SQL, be it Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, PostgreSQL, you will have some minor differences here and there, such as a terminator like this, semicolon in the case of this, very popular with this, usually used by Oracle, and I guess some other flavors are using this. So here from is used to specify the source or sources of data. The where clause is used to specify conditions to display specific rows only, meaning you don't want to query everything. You don't want to get all the records of the table, but only a subset of it. And then the order by is used to specify the order or sequence of displaying the data. Okay, so we've learned about DDL. There are DDL and DML commands, but for now we'll jump start you and we'll go straight to using or learning more about a DML command, which is select. Okay, let's go get on with it. So we'll type, by the way, SQL is for the most part case insensitive. So let's start with a simple select statement. Select asterisk from customer. Customer is the table name. Okay, for now I can omit the alias. The C that you see is actually, this is an alias, but we'll talk about alias later on. So now let's live with this. Select asterisk from customer. Select is the keyword. Asterisk is a wildcard character, or something like saying all. Select all from customer. Customer is the table name. And you can end it with a semicolon or not. For now, don't get distracted by it, as long as you know the basic format first. So when we execute this, then at the bottom of the screen you will see a grid, the data grid, which is the result of the command that we have just executed. Select asterisk from customer. It's like you're saying, you're telling the database to get all records from this table. So this is the table name. Now let's look a little bit more closely at the data displayed before us. So if you look here at the grid at the bottom of the screen, you see column headings like customer ID, first name, last name, company, etc. So these are the columns. The vertical elements are the columns. This is the column name, while the values below it are the column values. So in this case, if you're looking at column called customer ID, the first row has a column value of 1, meaning the customer ID of row 1 is 1. If I jump here, the customer ID of row 7 is 7. So this is very much familiar for those of us who are using Microsoft Office Excel spreadsheet. We have columns, vertical elements, and you have the rows. So the elements, the columns, like here, are customer ID, first name, last name. So again, we executed this command, select asterisk from customer. This is the basic command. We are selecting everything, all the records from a table. Basic, why? We have no where conditions whatsoever. We have no order by. We have no other conditions to it. There's no aggregation, like sum, average, those kind of things. If you notice, the upper part of the editor shows text in gray color. That is because they are commented. So the double dash that you see is a single line comment. In programming, in the world of programming, when you say comment, that means that part of the code will not be executed by the program, by the software. It will be ignored. It is more for information of the human, of the reader, of the user, of the programmer. So this is a single line comment consisting of a double dash at the very beginning of the line, and the slash asterisk is the beginning of a multi-line comment. It ends with the reverse, asterisk slash. Okay. So now let's try something different. We have started by selecting everything. Remember that in SQL, the keywords are not case sensitive. You can even type this in lowercase or mixed case. It will not matter. So we've learned keywords here: select, from. Next is, let's say we wanted to select specific. If you wanted to query specific columns of the table, okay, we can do that. Let's say we want first name and last name from the same table. So we are selecting specific columns, comma separated. We still have the from, but we have no where condition. Let's see how it works. Okay, so here it returns only 2 columns, first name and last name. These are the 2 columns. But we have 2 columns, but we have many rows. If we scroll down, you will see there are lots of rows. So there is no more condition. We simply have a select command. We specified the columns to be queried. We have a from, and then we specify the table name without any where condition. So that is querying specific columns of the table. Now let's try something else. Let's say we only want to query the 10 records. Okay, so I will say select asterisk. I will reuse this one. I'll put this somewhere down here. I'll just query 10 records. In SQL terminology, records or rows can be used interchangeably. They mean the same. So I will reuse this, and then I will add limit 10. Okay, so select asterisk from customer limit 10. We have the select command, which you are now familiar with. We have the from, which specifies the data source. Here's the table name. And then we have this keyword called limit. It is telling the SQL engine to only return 10 records. So naturally, we only see 10 records here on display. Now, speaking of SQL, there are different flavors of SQL. Probably the most popular is Oracle. We have SQL Server of Microsoft. We have Sybase, which is a cousin of SQL Server of Windows. They were cut from the same cloth, so to speak. And then we have others like MySQL, Postgres, etc. So just as in English, you have the British, the English, the original, then you have the American, you have the New Zealand, the Kiwi type of English, the Aussie, you have the Canadian. So it is the same in SQL. There will be some differences here and there as you try out each of these flavors. I'm saying this because in this example over here, I'm using the keyword limit. If we were to use Oracle, we would be using something like this, where row num is less than 11. I'll comment it with a double dash. So meaning where number of rows is less than 11, which is 10. But here I'm using a different flavor of SQL, but don't worry about it for now. So I'm using the keyword limit. And when I executed that, it returns 10 records. Okay. So in this video, so far we have learned that there are two types of commands broadly, the DDL and DML. And as far as DML is concerned, we wanted to focus for now on the most frequently used, which is select, which is used for querying. We have learned commenting. Double dash is a single line comment. The slash asterisk, it's a combination of this slash asterisk and this. So that is a multi-line comment. Okay, so we've learned about that, and then we have seen the skeletal syntax of a select statement. Select the from, the where, and the order by, and what they are used for. And then we tried out the basic select statement of querying everything from a table, select asterisk. And then we tried selecting specific columns of all the rows of a table. And then we also done this third attempt, which is limiting the result set by according to the number of rows. And we've learned that there are in fact a couple of SQL flavors out there in the market, and there you will be seeing from time to time some minor differences in syntax, such as in this case I'm using limit, but if I were to use Oracle, I would use row num. Okay.